Well, good morning, my friends. How are you? That one caught me completely by surprise. I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio, obviously, to record this week's show, and I got working on some things here, and time just got away from me. So I'm actually a minute late, and I apologize. I was working on an email here, responding to someone, and didn't look at the time, and I went, "Whoa, okay." The good news is I was all set up and ready to go, so all I had to do was press the button that says go live, or as my grandson calls it, the button, or he used to call it the button. Cliff, good morning. Brent, it was wonderful to see you and Tracy. Tim, I look forward to seeing you and Jen at the Lumberjack on the 20th for our Wednesday night live there. Love. Johnny Bowler, Bear Whisperer, it was so nice to see you at our Trinity dinner. Thank you for your generosity, and thank you for the mug. I understand you're in the coffee mug business now. Uncle Jotty, how you doing, buddy? It was so nice to see you guys last night. Robert checking in from the Eastern UP. Charles, good morning. How are you? My name is Mike Avery. This is Behind the Mic. Hey, Tony, how you doing, buddy? That shot there is way too close. Driving me way too crazy. It's like, that is too much Avery this early in the morning. That's a little bit better. Mike Sills, Michigan Outdoorsman. How are you, buddy? Justin, how's your recuperation doing? Your recovery doing? Your rest? I hope you are resting. Hey, Zach, appreciate that. Thanks. That means a lot to me. Robert, good morning. How are you? Too much headroom on the Avery guy. Come down, come down. Too little headroom. Perfect. Someone asked you if you knew Mark Avery the other day, and I replied, well, clearly you don't. There is a Mark Avery. There was a Mark Avery on the air down in Detroit for many years. I don't think he's on the air anymore. In fact, I don't even know if he's around anymore. Let's see what else we got. Doing great. Excellent. Glad to hear that. Mike got some of the hunter sticks from Nick. Excellent. Johnny says, if anybody wants one of those mugs, send him a private message. And I don't have the mug with me right now, but I will have it tonight on Wednesday Night Live. Josh Mapes, good morning, buddy. How are you? Bill Hoffman. They were talking about me. Oh, but they didn't know the name. Bill Hoffman, the most interesting man in Michigan. Still waiting for Bill to give me a chance to voice one of his books, although he voices them himself. I don't blame him. Martin, how are you? I consume a lot of Audible content. That's always been my dream, to voice a book. Well, then, Avery, why don't you write your own book? Well, because I can't. I got enough stories probably to write one, but it's not in my wheelhouse. Bill, David, nice to have you along with us on this edition of Behind the Mic. Appreciate you being with us. Bill, were they saying good things or were they saying bad things? Not that it really matters anymore. Listen, I've been doing this long enough. I'm not going to make everybody happy. I'm not going to please everybody. I don't even try anymore. And that's fine. Oh, Bill Hoffman says, if Johnny puts Bill's face on a mug, it'll be an ugly mug. Bill says, thanks for sharing your photos of Fred Bear. That was quite an experience. I posted them yesterday in honor of Fred Bear's birthday. Oh, good. It's, people have so much respect for Fred Bear. And for me, it's very cool to be able to go back and find video and photos of me and Fred Bear sitting shoulder to shoulder. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And wherever I get the chance to post those, I do. Morning, Brad. How are you? Oh, they heard me on the Michigan Bowhunters podcast. Kevin says, good morning, Mike. Ice is gone. Time for golf. We'll be up there with you. Kevin, Monday, July 29th for the first annual Avery Outdoors golf outing at the West Branch Country Club. We will be in West Branch here in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks from tonight, in fact. Yeah, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be there for another Wednesday Night Live. I haven't had a chance. Kim says he doesn't even try to please Jen anymore. I've been so tied up on the Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction that I kind of, this Wednesday Night Live that's coming up here in 2 weeks kind of snuck up on me. But we'll be ready for it. It's 2 weeks from tonight. Reservations are available if you want to join us. Call 989-343-0892, 989-343-0892. If no one answers, let the phone ring forever until a machine or until we used to call them answering machines, until it picks up, and leave a message. Tell them your name, how many in your party, and leave a phone number, a contact phone number. It doesn't cost you anything for a reservation. There are no tickets, but we need to know how many are going to be there. Good morning, Kevin. How are you? Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it. Tom checking in from the Thumb. How are you? It was, Mike. Even after all these years, when I look back on my interview with Fred Bear, and it wasn't that good of an interview. I mean, I was a young kid, but certainly top 3 highlights of my entire career was meeting Fred Bear and interviewing Fred Bear. It's an ugly mug contest. Bill, the dates are Monday. The date is Monday, July 29th. Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club. I think we're going to have our first meeting. Well, kind of a meeting. It's going to be with me and Emil and Steve Wyndham of MUCC. We're going to have it before our Wednesday Night Live on the 20th. Now you're saying, why is Steve Wyndham involved? Because the proceeds from this event will go to MUCC's youth camp. Randy, what are you doing in Orlando? I know that, Ed. Yesterday it wasn't Ted Bear's birthday, but it was Fred Bear's birthday. And if you go to my Facebook page, you'll know that I realized that. Morning, Bernie. Morning, Carl. Thank you, John. Morning, Michael. Top 3 interviews of my life. Care to share the other 2 besides me, of course? Well, there's Bill Hoffman, there's Fred Bear, and then there's, Morton F.? There's the outdoor triune right there. Fred Bear, Morton F., and Bill Hoffman. His story is amazing. Well, this is an interesting question. Tim says, morning, Mike. What do you think about this new commercial and tribal fishing decree? It's new in some sense, but it's not new in another, because it's been in the process for years now. I mean, literally years. What do I think of it? I think it sucks. I think it's ridiculous. I feel like maybe I don't think we had a lot of people on our side. In fact, I think in this case, the DNR caved in some ways to the tribes. So that's what I think about it. And there's not a darn thing we can do about it. Corey, good morning. How's the fishing, buddy? Robert, MUCC's annual conference, the convention in the Sioux this weekend. I know. One of the issues that will be discussed is a proposal by the Great Lakes Salmon Initiative to institute a boat license that would allow you to run more rods for Great Lakes trolling anglers. MUCC has come out against it, which I think is a shame. But I respect the process of how MUCC gets things done. But like any organization, if you get the right people behind it, you can push it through. If you get the right people against it, you're going to have a hard time. So we'll see. Tom says, I remember that face in the Fred Bear pic from watching TV5 News as a kid. Yeah, the young Avery face. You would have guessed, Mort. Hey, Corey. What do you mean you got to go, Johnny? What, are you working or something? Hey, Craig. Bill Hoffman says, the Michigan hunting, Mount Rushmore, Bear, Neff, Avery, Ted, Gretzinger. Fred Bear, obviously. Mort Neff, obviously. Uncle Ted, who has moved, obviously, from Michigan. Jimmy Gretzinger, who I had on the show last week. Jimmy actually has been at the helm of Michigan Outdoors. Now it's Michigan Out of Doors TV, longer than even Mort Neff was. Jimmy's a good guy. Really think he's just a great guy. Hey, good morning, Jim. How are you? George checking in from Savage Dog Outdoors. Corey says, very slow. I hope the big ones stay going in the river. Corey, I got and I haven't had a chance to post it yet. I got a picture from a guy this morning with a 32-inch, 12-pound, 9-ounce fish out of the Saginaw River. He's going to email it to me so I can post it later. That's the biggest fish I've seen come out of that river in years. 32-inch, 12-pound, 9-ounce. Bernie, in all honesty, Mike, the legacy you will leave is right at the. Well, I appreciate that, Bernie, but I can't go along with it. Tim, good morning. South Carolina striper and hybrid bass fishing's on fire. Excellent. Dan says it's another beautiful day in the Eastern Yup. Speaking of the Yup, Dan, let me tell you who's on the show this week, and you'll hear the tie-in. First, Stacy Skaggs, a guy I met at our Trinity dinner. Never met him before. Interesting guy. Talking about getting ready for turkey season. Then Seth Herbst from the DNR on the new hunting and fishing guide license that has now gone into effect. In our second hour, Lance Valentine on jigging for springtime walleye, plus Justin Tomei checks in with more on that guide license and the upcoming convention. But here's the tie into the UP. In the third hour, retired DNR wildlife biologist John Azoga, who was in charge of the Cousineau Research Station in Shingleton for many, many years, one of the, you see all these Dr. Deer and all these guys who are these, experts on TV. Nobody's more of an expert than John Azoga. He is a very outspoken guy. He's a very knowledgeable guy. He thinks the Michigan DNR is handling our deer management in Michigan poorly. And I'm going to talk to him about that and more. And of course, we wrap it all up with Wild Game Chef Dixie Dave Meyer. Get in here, Art. Wild Game Chef Extraordinary Dixie Dave Meyer. Okay, here is a guy who was with us at our Trinity dinner Saturday night. Art Lewis, a member of the Michigan Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Art, it was so nice to have you there with us.
Oh, it was great. It's a great event, Mike. Great event, and you do yeoman's duty.
Well, we were thinking, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. You know how Dixie Dave was our guest of honor this year?
Yep, and I sat with him.
Yeah, well, I know it's a long ways off, but I think you're probably going to be our guest of honor next year.
Oh, really?
We've been talking about it, so now it's got to happen because I mentioned it.
All right, I'll be there. What's
okay. It is March 1st. It's the first Saturday in March, and I believe it's March 1st next year.
Great. All right.
What do you got? What do you got in your hand there? It's a dead target.
Literally, I went shooting yesterday and blew out the center mass.
Nice. Nice job, Art. Nice job. Thanks again for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Art Lewis, one of the good guys. You can hear him on WSGW AM and FM, of course, online as well. Hey, Chad, how are you? Chad Bailey, another good guy. Chad in the outdoor world, he's repping Bear Archery. Other than getting a chance to talk to Fred Bear, I've never had a relationship with Bear Archery, but these new lineup of Bear bows, not BARE, but BEAR bows, are really impressive, and the cost is reasonable, which you don't see a lot in today's world of archery. Erica, good morning from the Thumb. Any updates on turkey populations? Nothing recently, Erica, except to say turkey populations are down across the country. It's not just here in Michigan, but it's across the country. John says, boy, somebody had a nasty letter to the editor in the Detroit Free Press the other day. Hunting coyotes is a gruesome killing contest, according to... You mean this edit? You mean this one right here? You mean this one right here? Michigan coyote hunts are gruesome killing contests. Michigan coyotes were already being ruthlessly hounded, baited, snared, trapped, lured by electronic devices that mimic sounds of pups in distress, and gunned down in gruesome killing contests throughout my year. Now, I bring this up because this is the mindset of a significant percentage of people across the country these days. This is what we're dealing with. This is why we have to be very careful in portraying ourselves as the stewards of the resource that we actually are. We got to be careful what we put on social media as much as you don't like it. And it's not caving in, it's being proactive and protecting our way of life. That's a whole 3-hour story, a whole 3-hour show in itself. Craig says, so busy I never get to go fish anymore. Last fish he caught, his grandson tossed it to me. Corey says, but what part of the river? I don't know, Corey. Well, let me see. I just got the email from him. He just sent it to me. Steve Glover is the guy. Oh, he didn't attach the picture. Let me send him an email back because you're going to want to see this. You're going to want to see this. Randy said he did order a bear mug from Johnny Bowler. Hey, Mike, how are you? Mike says, what's the difference? The limit is set. When you complete your limit, you're done. Whether you're running 3 rods or 10, there is no difference, Mike. There's no difference. And the resource is protected by size limits and daily creel limits. It doesn't matter how many rods you use to get it there. And the reason I first started pushing this is when I was out there fishing by myself, I'd see these charter guys come by and they're running a dozen rods and I'm running 3. And I'm thinking, well, who do you think is going to pattern the fish first? It's not going to be Avery running 3 rods. And I thought, why? This is an arbitrary and capricious line, rule, law, whatever the hell it is. Anyway, you know my feelings on that. Corey says there have been a few 10-plus pounders down that way. Oh, so there's a zone, Corey, for the Michigan Walleye Tour? You don't have the whole river? No, I'm not going to give him the full hour, Dan, but I'm going to give him most of the hour. Chad said it was another great weekend at the Fred Bear Days. Always a great time. Proud to work for a company for over 20 years. That's nice. Brent says Art has the patience of a saint on his radio show. Why is this, Brent? Because so many idiots call in? Oh, did I say that, Charlie?
That's our audience.
Well, you have to, well, they're good people, but there are some. All right. Sorry, Charlie. Charlie, you're right.
Perhaps it's the opinions they express. They're not good people.
Good point. Charlie says they're not idiots. They just have interesting perspectives. And you're right. Both Charlie and Art have to deal with it. I don't know how you guys do it. I couldn't do a live show. Hey, good morning, Craig. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, that Fred Bear statue is going to be very cool. Jordan says, how are things in the Deep South, Mike? Jordan, just because you're on the Deer Management Initiative doesn't mean you can call where I live the Deep South. How's that going, Jordan? I talked to a guy the other day who he was named to the DMI and then backed out. Said he didn't really want to do it. 102. Where is Gabe? Where's Gabe that it's 102, Mike? Andrew, I'm looking at your comment. I see season coming to an end in the Adirondacks. It's been to an end here a long time ago. Bernie says it's easy for people who have never had to deal with coyotes to defend them. Walleye time. Good morning, Randy. I think a certain bear representative should have been careful at the last NRC meeting. He ripped the lid off Pandora's box. Yeah. Matt, good morning. Thank you for your generosity on our trip, or our Trinity Monitor dinner. I hear you, Chad. Hey, Elliot, good morning. How are you? Tommy, good morning. Corey says the mouth to Center Road. Oh, the mouth to Center Road, which is the portion of the river that will be open year round, because upstream of Center Road, it will be closed after the 15th. I knew what you meant. Center Street, yes. Brandon, walleye fishing is on fire at the mouth of the Detroit River, jigging and trolling, both producing lots of quality fish. South Africa, that's where they are. Okay. Well, that's right. He told me he was going to Africa. I'm so excited for him. So excited for him because I've been to Africa. It's a life-changing experience. The first time you're sitting in a blind and you see a zebra walk into a water hole in front of you, it's like, okay, this is cool. This is what I saw on TV watching Tarzan when I was a kid. 100, that's right. I'm going to text him. Thank you for that. I'm going to text him. Who bought the doe hunt? Anonymous Avery? It was not Anonymous Avery. I don't know, Scott. It was during our silent auction. I can check on it and find out, but I don't know who that was. Paul, good morning. Well, this is Scott says, good morning, Mike. I'll be listening tonight as well. Can't wait to hear how the charter captains feel about the river and inland lake license. Why would the charter captains care about that? Because anybody who is a licensed charter captain from the Coast Guard is exempt from this because you're already licensed. So I don't think they have a position on it one way or another. Andrew, walleye fishing, hot and heavy in tributaries of the Saginaw River. 1 hour or less limits, mostly males, angry and nippy. Jordan, initial DMI meeting was organizational and procedural. Meat and potatoes yet to come. Yeah, Elliot, you and Jordan, yeah, you're good guys. Fishing with the Griffins, good morning.
30 seconds.
Dove's making it 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Charlie.
As in 25 seconds now.
All right, my friends, you know how this works. Pretty soon I'm going to have to switch from this microphone, my social media microphone, to this microphone, my official broadcast microphone. I will not be able to directly interact with you because I will be directly interacting with my broadcast audience. Prove it, Charlie. Give me some music. Prove it.
3, 2, 1, blast off.
See, I told you. He wasn't kidding. All right, my friends, I have to record the first segment of this week's radio show. Feel free to stick around if you want. If not, I hope you have a good day, and I hope you can join me tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. 2 weeks from tonight, we will be live once again at the Lumberjack Restaurant. If you want to join us, it's free. I'd expect you to buy a meal, but it's free. Call for reservations, 989-343-0892, 989-343-0892, 989-343-0892. If nobody answers, wait for the machine. Have a good day, my friends. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And so glad to have you along with us. How was your week? Did you get a chance to get out and do anything fun? Anything in the outdoors? Well, the weather roller coaster continues, doesn't it? I mean, you know, we always expect that this time of year, but it's been an interesting winter season. I was talking to a guy the other day about, and you know, obviously I agree with this, and I think anybody's going to have to agree with this year, that the folks who rely on wintertime for their business, or at least a significant part of their business, they're hurting this year. There just wasn't much of a winter. If you needed snow, if you needed ice, it was a disappointing year. So my heart goes out to those folks, because at this point, you know, it's just not going to happen. Oh, so what have I been up to? You know, this last week for me has been pretty much consumed with our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction, which was last weekend at this point. And it was another wonderful event. You know, this is something our church does as a fundraiser for the church and school. This is the 7th year we've been doing it now, and it just continues to grow. I'm absolutely convinced the event has been blessed by God, and we just have a great time. And once again this year, it was just wonderful. You know, so many of my friends, the people that I work with and the people who are my friends, stepped up to support this event. I'm not even going to go through the list right now because I'll leave somebody out, but not only did they support in donating services and product, but also in bidding on items. Every year I have people who bid on my fishing trips who would be able to fish with me for free. And yet they bid a bunch of money to go fishing just to help out the cause. So it's that type of an event. I just want to thank everybody who was involved, all the volunteers at Trinity who put this thing on, um, the people who showed up, the people who supported us. We do appreciate it so very, very much. Thank you. Now, because I've been pretty much consumed with the Trinity event, our next event has kind of snuck up on me. And here's what it is: another Wednesday night live at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch, coming up Wednesday the 20th. If you'd like to join us, love to have you there. Call for reservations, 989-343-0892, 989-343-0892. If nobody answers, let the phone ring until it picks up. Leave a message. Give them your name, how many in your party, and a phone number so they can call you back. Now, this event is free. We don't charge anything for this. But I would expect, that you buy a dinner or something from the Lumberjack Restaurant while you're there. Would appreciate that very much. I'm not sure exactly who's going to be joining us at this event. I put out invitations to several people, several of my advertising partners, and we'll see who'll be joining us. But I'd love to have you there. That's Wednesday night, March 20th at the Lumberjack Restaurant, the Forward Corporation, Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch, 989-343-0892 for reservations. Our live event starts at 7 o'clock, as all of the Wednesday night lives do. I would encourage you to get there about 5:30, so you have a chance to eat and get settled in before the fun starts. Speaking of fun in West Branch, this is a ways off, but I want you to put this in your calendar if you are interested. The first annual Avery Outdoors golf outing will be at the West Branch Country Club Monday, July 29th. Now, it is too early to start signing up for this. If you want to be involved as a sponsor, a whole sponsor or something, you can send me an email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Again, too early to sign up for that event, but I'm just asking you to put it on your radar, to put it on your calendar if you're interested. Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club, obviously in West Branch. I was talking about the weather roller coaster, the one day last week when it was so warm. My neighbor, an unnamed neighbor, fired up his lawnmower. I thought, okay, that's too much. That's just going over the top, okay? We don't need to run lawnmowers in early March. Speaking of this time of year, it is time to get your new fishing license. Now, your current license is good through the end of the month, but you can buy your new license now if you want. What is it, $26 for an all-species resident fishing license? And yet people gripe about the price. What can you do for 20? And I could get mine for 11 if I wanted as a senior. I'm not a big fan of senior prices. I don't think just because somebody has reached a certain age that they should be gifted a discounted price on something over other hardworking people. I don't buy into that concept. I don't like senior discounts. I don't like senior breaks on prices. If a service or a good is worth X amount of money to a 50-year-old or a 30-year-old, why is it not worth the same amount to a 65 or 70-year-old? It should be. Anyway, $26 for an all-species fishing license for the entire year. What can you do for a year and have that much fun for that much money? There's nothing. You can't. Now, I realize if you buy, 3, 4, 5 baits, stick baits, you're going to spend more than $26. So yeah, the amount of money you have in your fishing is a lot more than that $26 license. So don't gripe about the price of the $26 license. Fish any species, any water, all year for $26. Speaking of licenses, there is a new license in effect here in Michigan for hunting and fishing guides. This just went into effect. It is $150 for a 3-year license. A lot of people don't like this. They think it's another money grab by the DNR. Now, coming up here later in the hour, we're going to talk about this a couple of times. First with Seth Herbst of the DNR, and then later with Justin Tomei of MUCC. MUCC was one of the groups that was pushing for this. If you are a licensed charter captain, you are exempt from this because you're already licensed and already paying. The hunting and fishing guide license is not nearly as involved as a Coast Guard charter captain's license or a captain's license. I don't know. I think that it's not ridiculous to expect that if somebody is taking people out hunting or fishing for money, that they would have a certain amount of proficiency and accountability. And for the people who want to do that and have those qualifications, $50 a year, if you're doing it professionally, I don't think that's, I don't think that's too much. I don't think that's going over the top. If you're going to take people out hunting or fishing on inland lakes and rivers, I think it's kind of cool that you would want to be licensed to set yourself apart from the others who are just doing it for fun. But that's just me. Did you see the Fred Bear celebrations online? They had a big Fred Bear birthday celebration last week in Grayling. I posted in honor of Fred's birthday. I found some of my old pictures and I posted them. It's always nice to see those. Picture of me and Fred, a picture of a young, dark-haired, thick head of hair, Avery, sitting next to Fred Bear, and a bunch of pictures I took while I was with him. It was very, very cool. As I look at my career, the highlights of my 50-year career now, almost 50 now, 45 years. If that wasn't number one, it was certainly top three. To get a chance to meet Fred Bear and sit next to him and talk with him and interview him, boy, that was right at the top. Certainly right at the top. Okay, I did see something pretty disturbing this week. Maybe you saw it as well. This is a letter to the editor in the Detroit Free Press. The headline says, Michigan coyote hunts are gruesome killing contests. Now, this is not a news article. This is a letter to the editor, but I want to read an excerpt from it just to remind you of what we're dealing with. A lady named Lauren wrote to the Free Press, and they published this. Michigan's coyotes are already being ruthlessly hounded, baited, snared, trapped, lured by electronic devices that mimic sounds of pups in distress, and gunned down in gruesome killing contests throughout much of the year. Now, this is in reference to the plan to stop our year-round coyote hunting season, take it back to 8 or 9 months or something like this. I read you this just to remind you that there's a certain and significant percentage of our population who looks at what we're doing in a different light from how you and I look at it. So as a result, we need to continue to portray ourselves as the positive and responsible stewards of the resource that we are. A lot of people look at us and think we're bloodthirsty killers. We are not. We are stewards of wildlife, but we need to continue to portray ourselves that way. In person, online, on social media. Just remember, everything you post out there can come back to hurt us. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show after the break, Stacy Skaggs, a guy I met at our Trinity dinner, talking about getting ready for the turkey season. Then Seth Herbst. Actually, I'm moving up the Ask Avery segment this week. I thought, I'm not locked into that second hour, so I'm putting it in the first hour. Ask Avery with Seth Herbst of the DNR regarding that new fishing and hunting guide license. In our second hour, Lance Valentine, Justin Tomei. And in our third hour, John Azoga on deer management in Michigan. All that plus Dixie Dave coming up this week right here on Outdoor Magazine. All right, my friends, have a good day. Let's see. Let me see what we got here. Hey, Steve. George says this lady is on the list to speak at the NRC meeting about coyote hunting. Sportsmen women need to engage as well. I agreed. All right, my friends, have a good day. I'll be back here tonight, 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. I hope you can join me. Also, please consider joining us 2 weeks from tonight at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. 989-343-0892 for reservations. 989-343-0892 for reservations. In the meantime, have a good day.